إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا وجاهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم في سبيل الله أولئك هم الصادقون قل أتعلمون الله بدينكم والله يعلم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض والله بكل شيء عليم يمنون عليك أن أسلموا قل لا تمنوا علي إسلامكم بل الله يمن عليكم أن هداكم للإيمان إن كنتم صادقين إن الله يعلم غيب السماوات والأرض والله بصير بما تعملون صدق الله العظيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم إني أسألك علما نافعا ورزقا طيبا وعملا متقبلا آمين يا رب العالمين. My respected brothers and my sisters, today, inshallah, the subject I have chosen for khutbah is to give you some perspective that why religion is becoming irrelevant to our life. Let's analyze that where we stand from the perspective of our deen. Why is it happening that every day our relationship, our connection with our deen is getting weaker and weaker? This question is very important because the future of our future generations depends on our behavior, our attitude, our approach, our connection, our perspective about deen. So this is very important, my brothers and my sisters, not only living in the West, but also even if we live in Muslim majority country. One of the reasons that we are getting irrelevant is that our deen has become part of us through memorization. That we have learned certain things and we just want to follow the literal way what we have memorized, and deen has become just an external part of our belief and practice. Somehow there is a feeling of compulsion, there is a feeling of jabr, there is a feeling of force that I am not with my deen through my heart. My brothers and my sisters, when I am not able to do anything by convincing myself that my soul, my blood, my sweat and my heart, everything is together with my concept, with my belief, then believe me, I will not be able to perform according to my potential and abilities and capacity. That's why we see all the weaknesses. Because one of the alim, he said very rightly, the ilm, the knowledge you have, if it does not give you marifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is called jahiliyyah. That is called darkness. An ilm which does not get translated, does not get transmitted in my muamalat, in my ikhlaq, in my dealings, then that ilm is nothing but zulm. And wallahi, I was looking for best translation for zulm in English. There is no single word in English which can give 100% meaning of zulm. So ilm, without transmitting that ilm in my dealings, in my ma'amalat, that is a zulm, my brothers and my sisters. Here I want to also tell you one thing. You know, Surah Hujurat, the ayahs that I'm going, it's a very interesting dialogue that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put for you and me. And before I go to that dialogue that I just read, remember one thing. Even 7 billion people on this planet, if they say that we reject Quran, we reject what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, this will not affect the truth even an inch. Truth is going to stay truth. If there is a sun outside, no matter 7 billion people, they come together on one page and they deny that there is no sun, but sun will still continue shining. That's how our belief should be, that even everybody will reject, but still truth is going to stay the truth. The only condition for you and me is the ayah I read, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that no matter what you do in your life, you may be weaker in this life. You may have very few deeds that you can collect in this life, but only condition that I want from you is thumma lam yartabu, that don't have any doubt about Quran, don't have any doubt about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't have any doubt about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What is the meaning of doubt? Doubt is not that if I have a question in my heart, if something pops in my mind that I am not sure, that is not doubt. Doubt is something which stops you from following the path of Quran, following the path of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is doubt. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here says after that ayah, "Qul atu'allimuna Allah bi dinikum." These munafiqeen, they are giving you news about their deen, that they have iman to you, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They want to show that yes, we have iman. They are bringing it as a news. Tell them, Wallahu ya'lamu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. Wallahu bi kulli shay'in alim. Allah does not need news from you, because Allah knows every little thing exists in this universe. Allah has the full knowledge what you have in your heart and your mind. So don't have to declare your iman. Allah knows what you have, what you are hiding, what you are saying through your tongue, and what is hidden in your heart, my brothers and my sisters. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Yamunnuna alayka an aslamu, qul la tamunnu alayya islamakum. Prophet, when they are declaring their Islam, they are showing that this is a favor for you, that we by becoming Muslim are giving favor to Islam. And wallahi, majority of us have the same feeling today. When I say I am Muslim, I feel like that, you know, I am giving a favor to Islam. No, look at this ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if they come to you and they say that we become Muslim and that's a favor for you, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell them, no, this is not a favor you are giving to me. Balillahu yamunnu alaykum an hadakum lil iman in kuntum sadiqeen. Fact of the matter is, it's the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has given you opportunity to accept Islam, to become Muslim, to say kalma la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So it's not your favor to Islam. Rather, it's other way around, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has showered His mercy upon you, that He has given you this tawfiq to say kalma la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So you better should be proud of your kalma and your religion and your deen. My brothers and my sisters, today I'm going to give you some tips that wallahi how we can make this religion relevant to our life. Believe me, if you go through the world history, the biggest 3 civilizations lived on this planet bigger than Islam: Greek civilization, Hindu civilization, Chinese civilization. They all vanished from the planet because the followers of those civilizations, they made these civilizations irrelevant to their life. Yes, through lip service, they had some connection with these civilizations, but they were not practicing, they were not following, they were not having those civilizations as part of their life. They were, their heart and mind not with those civilizations. Wallahi, if you and me, we treat Islam the way these civilizations were treated, the anjam, the end, what I see of those civilizations, that is the end I see down the road, my brothers and my sisters. So I'm going to give myself few tips that how really I can make this religion relevant to my life. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said very rightly in one of the hadiths that this deen started as gharib. It's strange. Nobody was believing what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was saying in Mecca. The beginning of this deen, this religion was gharib, strange. And Prophet ﷺ says that this deen will become gharib again. And this time and age you and me we live in, we see our deen has become gharib. If I talk about haya, people look at me, what you are talking about haya? If I talk about, brother, don't do transaction based on riba, how I'm going to do my business? If you talk about, brothers, practice that you should come to masjid at least once a day. Islam is becoming, the values of Islam, the practices of Islam are becoming gharib again. And as Prophet ﷺ says, practicing Islam, time will come that it's like you are having a burning coal on your hand. But whoever will practice at that time, glad tidings of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is that he called you and me as his brother. And Sahaba complained, Ya Rasulullah, we are not your brother. He said, no, you are my Sahaba. You have seen me. And that's why you are believing on me. Time will come, there will be people, they have not seen me, but they will still believe me. And one of them will be like a 50 of you. So there is a glad tidings as well, my brothers and my sisters, if we stick to our religion. The very first thing I will suggest, in our home, that we should have, discussion about deen, very practical discussion about, we should see what topics of discussion we have in our homes. Healthy discussion about religion, not criticizing that what's happening on the other side of the world, not criticizing any other Muslim, rather having some constructive, some positive discussion about Islam. Islam should be a topic of discussion in my home. That I should be discussing with my kids that how we can practice this deen better, how we can improve our salah, how can we improve our relationship with Quran, how we can plan to go for Friday prayer, let's plan ahead of time, how I can make it possible that at least I can go one time in a masjid, how I can make sure that in my business transactions I don't do anything haram, how I can practice. These should be the topic of discussion with wife and children, my brothers and my sisters. The second thing I will say is the practice. These days, one of our problem is that we have lost the connection with everything we do in our religion. Let me give you an example. Our salah. Salah is not just to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Take this out of your mind. Salah should be part of my everyday life. Salah is the meeting of me alone, Shahid Rafiq, meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one-on-one. This is manajat. I am discussing my problems with my Rabbul Alameen. For Sahaba, their practice was, if they had any problem in life, if they had anything to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will wait for the time of Salah. So when they go in Salah, that is the time you present your problem in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is not a single hadith in which Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam after Salah, he raised his hand to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Prophet was making all his duas in the Salah while he is praying Salah. That's why Ibn Qayyim rahmatullah alayhi said that what a strange phenomena, that when you are in front of a king, face to face, and you don't ask anything, and when you leave his palace, you come out of the door of a king, and then you recall, oh, I should have asked him this, I should have asked him that. Ibn Qayyim said, our condition is the same. When we are in Salah, we are so close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in sajda. Ask what your problem is. Present your issues to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we make Salah the tool of communicating with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brother, your sajda will not be of 1 minute. Wallahi, your sajda will be of 10 minutes. Because you are talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the language of your heart. You are presenting your issues and problems in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If my salah will have that connection, same way Quran is not a book of sawab. Quran is talking to you, me. Quran wants response from you and me. When I am reading Quran and me, we are having a discussion. So when I read Quran, actually there is a communication between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Same way when I go in my family is not just to raise doctors or to raise engineers or to make, this or that or accountant. No. This family is, as Hazrat Amr bin al-As Raziyallahu ta'ala anhu once entered in his house and saw his wife was feeding his baby. He said, don't feed this baby like you are feeding any child. Rather have an intention that you are feeding a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ghulam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One day this slave, this abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be grown up and he will do ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will do service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whatever he will do in future will become sadaqah jariyah for you. So we should have that bigger picture of our family. We see issues in family because we see family as a liability. I have seen many brothers going through this discussion. Why do I have to get married? Why should I have children? Brother, because your family and your children will be your legacy after you leave this dunya. Your family or your children will be sadaqah jariyah for you. You will live through your family and your children after you are gone from this dunya. So look from that perspective. It's not a liability. It's an honor Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you and me. Question is that if we see the right perspective, my brothers and my sisters, the third thing we should do is sohbah. Wallahi, one of the shaykh said that, ilm, the knowledge of deen, 10% of the knowledge is through formal education, formal tadris. You listen to lecture, you go to class, you go to madrasa, you go to school. 10% of the education is through tadris. 90% of the education is through tarbiyah, through sohbah, spending time with brothers and sisters. They can bring you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi, that is the part that we miss the most. And the opportunity you can get grab those opportunities. And I say to my brothers and sisters, the best sohbah you can provide to your kids in this part of the world is stay connected with the masjid. My brothers and my sisters, I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives you and me tawfiq that we can value our iman. We can understand the value of this deen, because success of my life through this deen in this dunya is my success in the hereafter. You know, in the last part of my khutbah, I want to share with you two mirrors. I give them the name of two mirrors. That if I am a businessman, or I am running any type of business, doctor, engineer, convenience shop, that there are two questions that I should ask myself. And the second mirror I want to share with you, that how should I know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy with me? And I will give you 4 criteria for that. And inshallah we will judge, we will see ourselves in these two mirrors. The first thing I will say, that if I am running any business, 2 things that I should watch. Number 1 is that how my fellow employees and fellow brothers and sisters feel about me who are around me. How comfortable they are. Do they really say good things on my back? Are they really happy, or I'm treating them the way I should be? Or I fall under that hadith in which Prophet ﷺ said that the worst among you is that the people want to have friendship and relationship with him because they want to protect themselves from his harm. They want to be your friend just because they don't want to say anything in front of you, just because they don't want to put themselves in any kind of trouble and harm. The second thing you should ask yourself is about your transactions. That your transactions are according to Quran or not. Brothers and sisters, you know, we in this part of the world, we are the ambassadors of Islam. Wallahi, if I do anything, it gives bad name to my religion. Not many people will talk about Shahid Rafiq, but they will say, yeah, he's from Pakistan, he is Muslim, that's how he is doing. The second mirror I want to share with you, that how should we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy with me? My brothers and my sisters, the very first thing that you should ask yourself is that every day in what type of activities I am busy, what I do 24/7. My chunk of my time, where do I spend? In what type of things I spend my day and night? उर्दू में कहते हैं ना मसरूफियत, मेरी मसरूफियत क्या है पूरा दिन? What is my routine? You know, all day long, what I do all day long, 24/7, that is first thing. If I am busy in pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I am spending most of my time to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or doing things which can make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy, helping somebody, serving somebody, doing my business according to the teachings of Quran, earning rizq halal through the means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made halal for me, that means that I'm spending time to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second thing I have to ask whether I am happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not. Hazrat Zainul Abidin one time entered in Kaaba and he saw somebody was asking dua, Ya Allah, be happy with me. Zainul Abidin asked him, are you happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever He has given you, the way He has provided you, the way He has kept you, if you are happy with Allah, radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. Remember that ayah, that if you are happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will be happy with you. If you are a complainer and complaining, then Allah will not be happy with you. So I should ask, if I am happy, that means Allah is happy with me. The third criteria is that in community, if people love you for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they love you, they like you only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not because of your status, not because of your position, not because of your money, but your community brothers and sisters, they love you because to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the third sign. The fourth sign to understand if Allah is happy, that whenever your parents, they see you, immediately when they see you, they raise your hand to pray for you. They give dua. They say good things about you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whoever's parents are gone from this dunya, we lost that opportunity. But whoever's parents are still alive, value them. My brothers and my sisters, that is something you are going to miss once they are gone from this dunya.